Hey everybody, welcome to the Lowdown episode number 3. How are you doing, Sargam?
I'm good. How are you, Lorenzo?
I'm good. Thank you for joining me on the call today.
Thank
So
you for
for
having
those
me.
who do not know who you are, if you could just go into who are you and what do you do?
Sure. Hi, I'm Sargam Tandon. I am a designer and a real estate investor. My company is called Augment Homes, which is a boutique design and real estate investment company based here in the Bay Area.
Hmm.
So I do a combination of things that includes design consulting. I invest in mostly luxury flips and vacation rentals.
Amazing. And how did you get started in architecture and design?
How did I get started? Cannot remember, but I think when I was like 14 or 15 years old, I had decided I was going to be an architect.
Hmm.
My dad wasn't very thrilled about it.
Oh, really?
I'm originally from India, so I'm sure you may have heard parents, typically want you to be a doctor, lawyer, or an engineer, and that's, what my parents were hoping I'd do. But anyway, it was, I've always loved design, even as a child, and decided I wanted to be an architect. So I studied architecture in India, studied that for 5 years, got my bachelor's. I worked there for a few years, had my own little firm, and I also worked for a couple of architecture firms in India. Then I moved to the US for my master's,
Hmm.
got my master's in interior architecture at Pratt Institute. That's a design school in New York. Did that, and then I've been working in San Francisco at various firms for the past more than a decade now.
Hmm.
So
Okay. Do most people do architecture and design or like together, or do some people just do architecture, some people just do design?
So architecture and interior design, they are two different professions, but I feel like architecture is kind of all encompassing.
Hmm.
So yeah, you education wise, it is definitely two different routes, but at least in India, interior design is also a part of architecture.
Hmm.
So, and we had a 5-year program, so it's kind of a intensive program that includes all aspects of the profession.
Got it.
And then I decided to do my specialty in interior architecture. So it was still, you know, kind of the same worlds, but I was more focused on the interior aspects of the building rather than the exterior envelope, if
Hmm.
you will. Yeah.
And what made you go from working from a big company to running your own consulting business?
I think for the longest time, I've always wanted to do my own thing. So that was like on my mind for a while, but you get so consumed in your day to day and your job. So it wasn't until the pandemic that, everybody was locked up at home, and it really gave me the time to pause and really think about it. And,
Hmm.
it took me a little while to kind of really be ready for it.
Hmm.
But yeah, I felt like it was time and I just had to do it. I think it was a combination of things like wasn't really I was feeling really burnt out in my job. It was just a lot of long hours and felt like I continued to have this itch of like doing something for myself, on my own.
How has that transition been going from working for someone to being your own boss?
Oh my God. It has been a hell of a ride. But I mean all in all, I think it is a pretty fulfilling experience.
Hmm.
Um I don't regret it for sure, but I think nothing prepares you for the challenges that you face on a day-to-day basis. Like, you can listen to all the podcasts and read all the books, but nothing truly prepares you for,
Hmm.
things that you might experience. So that's been interesting, but I think it has been, very fulfilling and, a great learning experience as well.
Hmm. So before you left your job, did you were you already telling some clients or building kind of like your client base on the side before doing that? Or did you like quit cold turkey and then start looking for clients? What was that whole process like?
Yeah, so it was, I guess, a little bit more organic. So my job was actually in the commercial world. So I used
Hmm.
to, uh, you know, design offices for tech companies. That was my last job. So that was a very different world. But on the side, I had was always kind of working with like friends and family, like people buying homes, helping with renovations. So I'd already been doing that for a few years before I started to just kind of go full time.
Hmm. Good. That's awesome. Do you have any employees working for you, or do you run your business completely by yourself right now?
Pretty much by myself. I have like you know, some people I work with as needed. If I need to collaborate on certain projects that I don't have the bandwidth for, or needs a certain skill set. So yeah, then I have a few people that I work with.
What do you find more challenging, commercial or residential?
I think both are challenging in their own ways. Commercial, they're really large scale, complex projects that go on for many years. There are, various, you're working with a very big team, it's high stress. Residential is, the scale is obviously very different.
Hmm.
But other than that, it's also like a big contrast between like, very structured world to then working with fairly unstructured setup in the residential world. And you know when you're working with clients, like you're designing homes for people, it can be a very emotional experience, so they're very different.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
What are some of the biggest lessons that you've learned so far running your own design business?
um, Biggest lessons, I want to say that I think the lessons are maybe a combination of both the design side of the business, but a whole lot more from the real estate investing
Hmm.
side. Um, Design is something that I've been doing for a couple decades now, so that aspect of it is more predictable. Um, um, but on the real estate side, I think just the unpredictable nature of the space, like uh, and like I was talking about earlier, the day-to-day challenges. Uh, there have been a lot of life lessons there, especially in like resilience and persistence. So
Hmm.
you cannot let problems knock you down, and you cannot dwell on them. Like you have to be solution oriented, you know, and just keep moving forward and make sure you're educating yourself and making smart decisions.
Yeah, I agree completely. I think challenges are inevitable, and the most important thing is just to keep moving forward. Um, yeah, I agree completely. What made you get started in real estate investing? Did you start doing that when you were still working for another company before, or did you start doing that once you went onto your own?
So real estate investing, like this is something I guess my husband and I started getting interested in uh, really back in 2018 or something like that.
Hmm.
So it's something that I was just curious about, but it wasn't until um, we purchased our first home that, and especially as I was like remodeling it, and I got really excited about that entire process, and so I decided to explore that, and that's kind of how I got started in real estate. But my first project was it's this house that we're in.
Hmm.
It is actually a house hack. So this is when I was sure that I was going to quit my job. I was already looking for a project for my business.
Hmm.
I happened to see this one, which didn't work from a business perspective, but we knew it was a really great deal. So we decided to sell our home and move here, and we're house hacking it. This is actually my first deal.
Nice. So this house that you're in right now, is it like a 3 bedroom, 4 bedroom, or is it one bed, two
Um,
bedrooms?
yeah, so it's a duplex. It has
Oh, it's a
a
duplex.
2 bedroom, one bath unit and a 1 bedroom, one bath. So we Airbnb the 1 bedroom now. It used to be a long-term rental. It's now a short-term rental, and
Hmm.
thankfully it's doing really well. And we've started the So the entire plan for this is to actually rebuild the whole house and uh, add a couple of floors. And this is a process in San Francisco. It takes a very long time. So we're just getting started with the permit process, and so it'll be a few years before it's rebuilt.
Nice. Could you just walk me through the numbers, I guess, so like how much was the mortgage for both the whole entire duplex, and then how much were you making when you're doing a long-term rental versus how much are you doing now for short-term rental? Like how much is it helping you with your mortgage?
Yeah. So the purchase price was 1.85. We were so it's in a really nice neighborhood in San Francisco and has bay views. So we knew this had great potential, like especially for the location. So, and it was also off market when we came across this opportunity, and it was going to be listed like significantly higher. So we were really lucky to get in at that price point, and it was also like before the interest rates started escalating, so we had really good interest rates. So anyway, a monthly mortgages for the whole house is $6,000. As a long-term rental, it used to make about $3,500 a month. And as a short-term rental, it was averaging about $7,500 to $8,000 a month.
Wow. So you're pretty much essentially cash flowing positive.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing. That's the power of house hacking. I keep trying to tell everyone who doesn't have a house yet, like all my friends and stuff like that, that you definitely got a house hack. And so for those of you who do not know what house hacking is, it's essentially you're either renting out a room or portion of your house in order to get someone to pay for a portion of your mortgage or all of it in Sargam's case, which is awesome. So, okay, so you got your first house hack. Are there any other, walk me through some other projects you've done?
So I guess this other project that I sold last year, it was a high-end flip. It was in Larkspur in Marin County in California. So that project, it was a very big project and went on for about a year and a half. So this house is in this beautiful location in Marin and in the hillside in a really cute town called Larkspur. So we purchased it for 1.375. And it was about $1 million of construction, and we sold it for 2.8.
Wow. Amazing. Did you use hard money for that, or how did you finance that one?
Yes, so it was a combination. We had a hard money loan, and we also had some investors who work with us as capital partners.
How did that flip project go for you? Did it go smooth? Did everything go perfect?
Oh, I wish. It was a very challenging project. Like definitely one of the most challenging experiences of my life. It was felt like everything that could have possibly gone wrong did go wrong, but you know, here I am, survived it. So
Sounds like my flip.
that was great. But yeah, I mean, it was tricky because when we purchased it, interest rates were at an all-time low, and as we were getting done with the project, the interest rates were at an all-time high. So there were so many things that were, out of our control that made things very challenging. But yeah, we were able to, uh, sell it, and we did fine. And so I'm really thankful for that experience. Everything from storms that had, never happened in California to the house getting flooded to construction having to stop. And so, yeah, there were definitely a lot of challenges, but I'm grateful for a lot of learnings.
What was the biggest learning lesson from that?
I think, like I said, the resilience, felt like there were a lot of these challenges, sometime happen together or kind of back to back, and you just feel like, oh my God, I can't catch a break. But you cannot let it knock you down. You just got to be solution oriented, and you have to, you know, make uh, you have to make sure that mentally you're making wise decisions and not being emotional about it, because it is I felt this huge sense of responsibility.
Yeah. I feel like after going through a project like that, especially one where you're putting about $1 million into the construction, I can't even imagine how big of a project that is. Because in my flip alone, I think we put about like 250 into ours, and so obviously yours is significantly bigger. But I feel like after doing something like that, you probably have the confidence. I mean, and your background also, but the confidence to do kind of anything at this point. At least even just like a small, just like lipstick kind of easy rehab, right?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. Like, I do feel. I think it's a lot to do with my background as well. So that gives me a certain degree of confidence to take on projects of higher complexity, which may not be for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think honestly, those are also the projects that excite me more because you really have the opportunity to kind of pretty much like gut the whole thing and started pretty much from scratch. So I felt like it was a great opportunity in terms of really being able to realize the full potential.